Hey Bayek, it's me Ian. And in today's video, I'm looking at this. This is Vampires from 1998. This is one that I picked up on that indicator sale. And this is a very interesting movie, which, I'm going to give you my opinion on. It's 108 minutes long. It could be described as a sort of action, western, horror film. Yes, got all those elements in it. Rotten Tomatoes give it 43%. 43%, which I think reflects the critics maybe quite well here and the public's perception of this film. Yes, now its screenplay is by Don Jacoby and it's based on a novel Vampires from 1990 by John Steakley. Stakey. Yes, well, there he is. Anyhow, the important part of this is it's directed, of course, by John Carpenter. Yes, the legendary, wonderful director, John Carpenter. And what I'm going to do is just list these films came out all consecutively right at the, in his career. We start off 1974, Dark Star. 1976, Assault on Precinct 13. 1978, Halloween, of course, yes. And then 1980, The Fog. Then, 1981, Escape from New York. Then The Thing, 1982. Yeah, Christine. Oh, Christine, I love Christine. Stephen King. 1983, Christine. And then Starman, underrated, that's from 1984. Big Trouble in Little China, that's 1986. Prince of Darkness, Donald Pleasance. Oh yes, 1987. Love that. And then, of course, They Live, 1988. What a run of films. Yes, he's made more, but those films, I think just cemented his position in film history. His career perhaps hasn't, as well, it looks like it's gone downhill a bit since then. He's not had the same success. Because, how do you follow that? But he's a great musician, composer. He's still actively doing that. He's well respected and still working. So that's important, I think, to mention that. In the cast, we've got James Woods, who plays Jack Crow. He's like the hero of the film. James Woods, Videodrome, 1983, wonderful Cronenberg film. Once Upon a Time in America, Sergio Leone, 1984. Cat's Eyes, he was in the Stephen King anthology, and it's The Smoking Story, which is one of my favourite ones in there. Then we've got Salvador, Oliver Stone, 1986. Look at these great directors he's worked with. Casino, 1995, Scorsese. Also, he's an executive producer on Oppenheimer. Yeah, this year's 2023 big hit now for him. Stack of TV roles, absolute stack. Then we've got Daniel Baldwin playing Tony. He's one of the Baldwin brothers. He's the second oldest, apparently. And his work, again, tends to be very much TV series and films for TV. I noticed he was in a film called Sicilian Vampire 2015, which I like the sound of, the fact that we've got a vampire connection in his career. Then we've got Cheryl Lee playing Katrina. Cheryl Lee really is known with Twin Peaks, playing Laura Palmer, TV series, the spin-off film, Fire Walk with Me, I've never seen any of these Twin Peaks. I've never seen it, but she's well thought of in terms of that. And also there's a lot of other TV films and series that she was in. Yeah, and theatre. Apparently, she has a great acting career in the theatre. So yeah, that's Sherilyn Lee, and then we've got Tom Guiney playing Father Adam. Now, he was in The Blade, 1998. What a film that is. Ladder 49, 2004. Iron Man, 2008. Iron Man, Iron Man 2, 2010. Also, he was, I think, a semi-regular in Stargate TV series, SG-1. I haven't seen all the Stargate series. I've done bits and pieces of it. It's a good series that I want to watch more of. But yes, he was in that. And of course, lots of other TV roles. Then we've got Thomas Ian Griffith playing the villain, Valak. I like saying the son of Valak. He always sounds good, doesn't he? He's the villain in this. Now, he was in Karate Kid 3, 1989. I've never seen any of these Karate Kid films, but yeah, they're very popular. And also I've seen Kull the Conqueror from 1997. But he's well known really now, apparently, following on from this Karate Kid appearance in Cobra Kai from 2021, which is a very popular TV series amongst. I hear it mentioned a lot. Again, I've not seen that, but there we are. Then we've got an actor who goes back. Well, he had quite a big career. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but his name is Maximilian Schell. He plays Cardinal Alba, which is quite an interesting part in this film. There's a big revelation, but I'm not going to talk about that because it'll spoil the film. But he was in Judgment at Nuremberg from 1961, which is quite an important film. Then, The Odessa File, 1974. Bridge Too Far, 1977. Classic films. Labyrinth. Oh, yeah, the popular Labyrinth from 1991. And then a disaster movie, which I know is popular. Deep Impact, 1998. So it's a very interesting cast. Now, let's look a bit more into the background of the film. Principal photography began in June 1997 in New Mexico. And it was concluded in August 1997. But there were quite disagreements. And apparently, Carpenter stopped directing. He just said he was not having anything more to do with it. But they got, obviously, panic mode must have set in, and he came back and continued to direct. Now, that is a very interesting thing. I'm just throw that out there. Did that have an effect on this film? Was there something about it? Why? He obviously was very wanting to do this project because, as he said, he'd not done a Western and a horror, and that's what he wanted to put together. And it was an opportunity. Also, he wanted to show vampires in a different light. He'd obviously seen a lot of the classic vampire films, which he has mentioned. But he wanted to move away from that gothic horror or romantic kind of vampire to see them as vicious killers. And then the mythology about the Catholic Church, he wanted to put all that in as well, which he does. So they're all good bases. You can see why he was interested in doing this film. So let me just go into the plot. The plot concerns Jack Crow. He's the leader of a team of vampires hunters. Now, he was raised by the Catholic Church because apparently his parents were killed by vampires. And he's now being given the position of a vampire slayer. He is, in fact, the master slayer who worked for the Catholic Church, going around getting these sort of nests of vampires, as they call them, and getting rid of them, and hopefully getting the masters of each particular nest of vampires. Now, the story revolves around this black cross, which they need to prevent from getting into the hands of Valak. Yes, we've got the villain. Now, he's the first and most powerful of all the vampires. And if he gets hold of this cross, he may be able to have the capability then of existing in the sunlight. Wow, yes, that is the important factor. And they must prevent this. This is what the film is about, and this is the battle progresses, and the story takes its own directions, and we get into all that. And there's some great special effects here, particularly when they go into the sunlight and we get the fires. It has that Western feel. I think, yeah, he's definitely got that Western feel, which is fantastic to see. And the film does look fantastic. And it has a great pace, I think, to it. I think it picks up. I think the pace, once you get into the story, rather than just seeing the action, then I think the film really gets going, and it's good in that sense. You've drawn into it. Is it as atmospheric as some of his other films? I don't think it is. You say, "Hey, I knew you were going to say something negative, lad." I'm just looking. Did you know that this, it was the only financial success he had in the 90s from this film? And it's the last successful film he directed. And I can see reasons why in this. I mean, it wasn't a massive success. I mean, how is he going to follow all those other great films? Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Now, this is just a personal observation. Is James Wood really the action hero? You know, he may look it, but does he really feel like that action hero? Kurt Russell, you think of him in this role, I do, and then I'm suddenly thinking, yeah, Kurt Russell would have been great in this role. I'm not saying he plays it badly. He doesn't. He does a good job in what he does. But that extra something, you would just think Kurt Russell would have been great. Is the villain good? He's okay, the villain, but maybe you need a bit more of that villain. Or, you see, the problem is, I think it's not very scary, this film, either. There is some great special effects. The horror element feels not quite as there with it, even though it's got there. And the fact is, they had to cut 20 seconds were cut from the film to get it a lower rating because they considered it gory and what have you. But to me, it just lacks a bit of that. But it's an enjoyable film, and you can just sit back and watch it. But I can understand certain things about why this film isn't as well thought of, even as the other films. You can see it quite clearly. I'm just being honest here. I don't like to give negative views, but as a camping film, you can watch it and enjoy it, and that's good. You know, I'm really glad it's in my collection. But just as an observation, I mean, how is it going to compete with all those films that I listed? It can't. As good as film this is, it's never going to compete with that, because I mean, it's such a great list of films that he did, and that is just my observation. Would it have made a difference with Kurt Russell, with that kind of stature? I think it would have. I do, honestly. I really do. But there we are. That's my assessment of this film. I don't want to sound negative because, as I say, I'm repeating myself now. But yeah, I'm really glad it is in my collection, and I did enjoy it. And here it is again. You saw it when I put it up, but there it is. Great cover, as you've seen probably from the side as well. Oops, yes. And the extras. You see, I sound like I'm moaning now. I don't think the extras are quite as good either, but they're interesting. They're good, but not as good. All right, okay. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We'll let you know when I put out these videos. Have a look at the playlist and see what you might like or might not. And if you like this particular video, please give it a like. Get it out into YouTube, and hopefully other people on algorithms, might think, oh, I'll try that and look it and watch it. You never know, do you? And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I really love to read your comments and what you think. And I say, it all costs notes, so you can't say fairer than that, can you? Mate, you can't. Anyhow, that's it. So, all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.